Hey, this is Nick, aka The Weiler, here from D.O.G, Deadly Operative Grunts. We're here for another Top 10 Tuesday. Today's Top 10 is the Top 10 PS1 Games. Coming in at number 10 is Soul Reaver. Now, this is technically a sequel, if you want to look at it that way. It's the Legacy of Kain series, and this is, I want to say, the third one, where you actually take over a different character, this one being the Soul Reaver. Basically, you evolve before your master does, so he throws a bitch fit and decides to rip your wings. And so the entire thing is basically like your retribution, your revenge. They did make a second one for the PlayStation 2, but this first one was definitely just top notch. Number 9, Tekken. And more specifically, just Tekken in general. All the Tekkens on the PlayStation 1 were just great. Obviously, I think if we go with a specific one, we'll go with 3 because that's going to be the one that evolved the most. They learned from their mistakes and they kept going. And I mean, even though you hated your friend for picking him, Eddie was probably one of the coolest fighters. Number 8, Tony Hawk 2. Now, I went with 2 because I think that was my personal favorite out of all of them. I tried 3, and other than adding certain things here and there, it was kind of just more of the same. This was unfortunately one of the instances back in the day where it was kind of like Guitar Hero, where they just, put out a bunch of them for no reason, just one right after another. But number 2, I think, was the best. And it was just so fun to rack up the points, go through the story, make your own skater, make your own board, everything. It was just so much fun. Number 7, Dino Crisis 2. Now, Dino Crisis 2 is definitely way different than the original Dino Crisis, because it's a little bit more action-oriented, rather than the first one being straight-up survival horror. But I actually kind of like this change, and I felt like with the dinosaurs in particular, it fit a little bit more than the survival horror. The first one is still very near and dear to my heart, but being able to go through and try to rack up the best score and try not to get hit so I get the best combo, it was just really fun. Number 6, Chrono Cross. Chrono Cross, I think, was one of the very first games, not including like Crash Bandicoot or anything, but one of my very first games that I actually finished all the way through. So I guess let's put it this way. The first really big game, we're talking like, 30 plus hours, 40 plus hours, I can't remember exactly, but it was one of the very first RPGs that I finished all the way through, and I absolutely love this story. Plus, spoiler alert for, like a 30-year-old game, in the very middle, there's this really good twist. I guess I won't totally give it away because I still think it's worth playing. If you can pick it up at a pawn shop or whatever, it's definitely worth whatever price they're asking for. But basically that twist in the middle and all the characters, every single one of them, was very intriguing. Number 5, Crash Bandicoot Warped. Alright, so Crash Bandicoot Warped is the third one. And obviously I chose the third one because it's the one that, once again, learned from all the other ones. It added in really cool features, like being able to get special abilities. After the first 5 levels, you beat a boss and you got double jump. After you beat the second boss, you got a grand slam. After you beat like the 4th boss, you got like a bazooka that shot out Wumpa Fruit. Absolutely awesome. And going through the different time trials, trying to find all the secret levels was just absolutely awesome. Crash Bandicoot Warped is definitely one of my favorites. Number 4, Resident Evil. Numero 2. So, Resident Evil 2, if you've been paying attention to the channel, Resident Evil 2 was my introduction to zombies. And considering how much I love zombies now as an adult, it's all thanks to Resident Evil 2. The story was great. You got to play through it twice because there was 2 characters. Different things happened, and it was just genuinely scary, especially as a little kid. So it just had to make the list. Number 3, Metal Gear Solid. Metal Gear Solid was probably one of the first games I actually watched. Get it? Cutscenes? A lot of cutscenes. But this game was so good and it did everything so well that you didn't mind the cutscenes because everything was so well written. It was kind of like watching a movie, but you got to interact with it, and that was really cool. Plus, I think this was one of my very first kind of adult-themed games. I had played Resident Evil, but it was still kind of very campy and over the top, where this was just like, it was serious. It was like politics and everything, and you kind of had to really pay attention. I loved it. Number 2, Final Fantasy VII. Now, I chose 7 because, everybody chooses 7. Why else would you not choose 7? 7 is just so awesome. Every single character is beloved. Every single side story is completely fleshed out. The story itself is just really good. It is such a huge game, and there's still so much to it that some people might not even know. And the fact that we're also getting a remake and we can relive all that, I really hope it turns out well, because this is definitely worth the number 2 slot. All right, we're already to number 1. Do you think you can guess what I chose? Number 1 is Silent Hill. Now, for everything that I said about Resident Evil 2, it kind of goes double for Silent Hill. Silent Hill is scary. Very scary. This is probably one of the first games that actually got me to jump a couple of times. Obviously, other than the dogs in Resident Evil 2, everything, the atmosphere about it, I think that's what it got right the first time, was that atmosphere. And even though they've come out with many other Silent Hills from then, the first one is still so near and dear to my heart, and it is honestly one of the best PlayStation 1 games out there. If you haven't played it, if you haven't experienced the very original Silent Hill, it is a travesty, and you should go to your closest pawn shop and try to pick this up. Get it on Amazon. It's going to be a little spendy because it is kind of rare, but it's worth it. It is such a good experience to experience. Alright, so that is it for our top 10 PlayStation 1 games. What is your top 10? What's your favorite PlayStation 1 game? Let me know in the comments below. If you have a suggestion for a future top 10, make sure to let us know in the comments below. Like us on Facebook and Twitter and YouTube. Subscribe. That's it for the Deadly Operative Grunts, and we're feeling squirrely. Triple threat.